Welcome to Coastside Poetry. Thanks to those of you who've zoomed in and those who are watching on YouTube. We meet either physically or virtually on the second Tuesday of every month to celebrate spoken poetry. I'm Sandy Onfong, sitting in for Diane, and Steve Long and I are your hosts this evening. Our featured poet event is being recorded and streamed live onto YouTube as we speak. So anyone can look at it later. We'll be posting the link on our website at www.coastsidepoetry.org. This evening, we welcome Coastside poet Diane Lee Moomey. Diane has lived and wandered around the US and Canada and now lives in Half Moon Bay, California, where she normally co-hosts this series on the web at www.coastsidepoetry.org. She has taught poetry appreciation to classes of older adults through Foothill College's Disability Resource Program. A regular reader at San Francisco Bay Area poetry venues, Diane's work has appeared in the MacGuffin, Light, Think, Mezzo Camine, McQueen's Quinterly, Poet Talk, Caesura, and Red Wheelbarrow, and has been nominated for 3 Pushcart Prizes. She has received awards and honorable mentions from the Soul Making Keats and the Ina Coolbrith Circle. Diane is also the author of 4 poetry collections, the newest of which, Make for Higher Ground, is available now from Barefoot Muse Press. Diane is also a watercolorist and collage artist, an experience that both seeds and is seeded by her poetic imagery. Visit her on the web at www.dianemoomeyart.com. Please welcome Diane.
Oh, thanks. Thanks everybody for coming, and thank you, Sandy. And I just found out about this on Sunday evening, so I can't really do my usual thing of obsessing for 4 weeks before a feature. And so I asked a couple friends for favorite poems, and that was enough just to kind of give me a structure to hang some things on. So the first that I'd like to read, Obad. The scarlet dog of morning will sweep into the bedroom window between my first and second rounds of dreams. She'll nuzzle the pillow to see if today I'll open both eyes, push away the duvet, put my feet on the floor. She always waits for a moment or two, her lips up-curved, it could be a smile, and unperturbed. Her nose a-quiver, she observes. Will I rise and dress and follow, scorning breakfast, never a swallow of coffee? This emissary of Apollo, she knows me too well. She's disappeared to cross the kitchen floor, meander toward the door. I dream I hear her toenails clicking. Then she's left, continuing her crimson route west. Thank you. And these next few are from the memoir section of my new collection, which I hope to have ready to start sending out sometime this fall. And the first one is Climbing to the Ceiling. Hand over hand and ever higher, how her heart beats. Sisal's rough as cowhide. She pushes hard with both feet. Bristles strip the skin from child thighs bare beneath her blue shorts. Below are gym mats butted each to each. Too few, too thin. She never even thinks of falling. Every day that dangling length's bewitching, calling, come on up, come all the way, slap that rafter, don't look down, Ignore admiring glares and laughter, tomboy. She's up again, then lets herself descend, carefully, resists the urge to slide, pretends. On the 100th climb, she'll slap that beam once more. Sneakered feet will clamber through a magic door, crunch across the gravel. She'll lift her arms, rejoice, soar like Wendy above the treetops of Detroit. And some of you have heard this one already, but hope you don't mind hearing it again. Sunday at the boardwalk. Flatter than flat am I in a baggy swimsuit, blue, elastic, heavy with sand and water, ties coming loose. My sandal-less toes are wincing, curling away from the splintered wooden boardwalk. I'm flat and straight, and in those early 50s, much too young to be prey. Hunting eyes are following only the curvy ones. I am tangle-haired and sticky-faced. I am invisible. The afternoon is mine. Don't go far, my mother murmurs, dreamy-voiced in her yellow lounger, a baby on either arm, asleep. Beside her, as if mirrors face each other, endless rows of umbrella, chair, of mothers, fathers, mothers, umbrella, chair. These cover tawny sand. The man in the chair beside us, growing redder, sleeps beneath his newspaper. The afternoon is mine. Fishy foam surrounds my ankles, leaving sand dollars, mermaid's money. I keep a couple, hoping she won't mind. Beneath the boardwalk lies a hamburger, delicious grail of ants. Watch their forays up its cliffs, a quick march through the bogs of mustard, the fallen comrades, final triumph. Meanwhile, the man beside us, growing redder, sleeps on beneath his newspaper. These next few are more nature eco poems, I would call them. Broom, 1. Muckluck bottoms squeak on flakes, new fallen and falling, so white, whiter than even the ice fog above them. Eye seeks the trail, too bright. 2. Rubber sandals grip asphalt, their cousin. A predatory ground fog walks up ravines between houses, swallows green and white signage, night's prologue. 3. Whiteout, muffled noises from no direction merely confound other senses. Only the souls suggest the presence of solid ground. 4. Toes deep in sand, a sunless, foamy circle. Small as a thumbnail, crab shares the space. Two kindred alone in a mist world, so cold and so pale. 5. Bright screens buzz with news of foreign wars, home wars. Voices compete, contradict. The truth? If only that lay beneath my feet. This next one has its basis, had its birth in my many, many years of working as a residential gardener in the Bay Area. And knowing now that I was part of the problem that this poem is about. So walking. We used to summer side by side, the humans talking, singing, raking garden beds. Bees would fly, collecting gold, but now too many bees are walking. To sage and aster, rose and foxglove, they'd be flocking, buzzing. Stings! We'd weed and watch with wary eye. We used to summer side by side, humans talking, spreading fertilizer, brown and yellow stalking every stamen, humming under sunny sky, collecting gold. Now too many bees are walking, shrubs are empty. Look, crossing pavement, shocking, a single individual on foot. Why? We used to summer side by side, we humans talking, frowning about organics' lower yields and mocking the huggers of trees. We have to live. We justify collecting gold, but now too many bees are walking. Climate changing may be not my fault, balking at the call to alter habits. Some defy, refuse to summer side by side. Some humans talking, collecting gold. What now? Too many bees are walking. And this next poem is about pure illusion. Showers. Once during that long drought, when it had not been raining and was not going to rain, and during one of those late post-daybreak dreamings you swear are what you're waking into, I heard a dripping from the upstairs deck onto my own, a pattering of drops sliding between the planks, falling soddenly onto fuchsias and sedum, the hollow echoing of drops as they hit the downspouts, debouching onto the paths below. Through eyes half closed, the light seemed low, low enough for rain. So I believed in the power of the rain dancing I'd done the day before, and lay there, ignoring the reality of bright sun on the decking, the upstairs neighbors taking showers. Wildlife refuge. The many sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. And that's from the Bodhisattva vow. Yes, I slept through the alarm. All that summer, as solitary honeybee hovered over the scented geranium, one bee flying. It may have been one single bee all that summer. Yes, I slept through all alarms. Morning voices schooled in non-alarm inform of schoolyard shootings, of the bombings of certain far-off cities, of the tallies of the dead from a certain virus, of the imminent extinction of certain insects, of the risings of ocean waters, of the certainty or not of rain in the forecast. Certain tests forecast the presence or the absence of certain tumors within my breast. On screen, the daily tremblings of the Dow Jones. On pavement, the tremblings of the wingless drones. All that summer long, all our doors opened onto pavement. At certain doors, one noticed red clay pots, neighbors up and down the pavement, their pots, that be our pelargoniums, a few pelargoniums. Drinking pools for bees. Do you know of these? Bowls, fruit, water. Bowls, pebbles, water. I'd like to say that I drove east, drove north, collected wingless drones in padded boxes, brought them home to hive. If only I could say that west and south I sent my minions, each one rescued millions, brought them home to hive. Instead, I say, of this you may be certain, I cosseted one bee, brought it lavender and other provender. Of one thing I am certain, this year I see 7. Of that only am I certain. Changing of gears here. Some love poems. Purling. A lazy morning in the beds. Oysters lie awaiting drifting plankton, shells agape. Comes a flounder flicking sand, and mollusk lips close too late, shut around the shards, cannot spit them out. Flotsam, jetsam lie atop the tongues. Years will pass. The rubble will be buried in a limey mantle, nascent pearl. The years, the nacre, core forgotten. A word, a look, a letter. In darkened rooms, our tides and currents, bivalves open, bivalves close, and purling simply happens. Slow spheres, we oysters wrapped around, soft around, dark around, and blind to our own pearls. This is brie. I'm opening a brie for you. I'll set it where its shoulders, creamy firm, will slump into the warmth of afternoon, and where what breeze there is today will carry news of brie out to the highway where you may be driving. Yo-Yo Ma is at full volume now, in case you're walking by. And I've opened the Neruda to the verse that seemed to summon you the time before, and read aloud its final stanza twice. Read aloud his final stanza twice. And I have trimmed the ivy, cut the spent camellia blossoms, swept the brown ones from beneath the pots that cluster near the door, where surely you will knock and bring a poem like you did before. This next one is a tribute to love in the 8th decade. 7 a.m. Raku's the name I give these pots of tender clay, fired and coated in a wash of powdered glass and flamed again. With tongs, I've pulled them out at orange heat and dropped them into vats of grasses, sawdust, straw, perhaps to shatter into glitter or to crack with blackened webs like highway maps across a glossy surface. Plates and cups that now hold tea and coffee, crackle lines that trace their crazy route a little farther round the curve with every morning's pour. The way our faces crease and fold themselves around our forks and spoons, the bagel crumbs and butter, kisses, our bits of daily news. And this next one is a tribute to the ones that got me through the northern winters of 6 months of snow and dark in upstate New York. Radio Man. Sometimes in late life West Coast sun, she thinks it was a dream, being upstairs in her room under the roof in the old farmhouse they lived in for a couple of hard winters, almost in Canada. Winters when it got dark at 5 o'clock and the snow blew into the kitchen under the front door, and one morning there was an icicle hanging from the bathroom faucet, that kind of winter. Well, in this dream, or not a dream, she's got her parents' big old Philco in her room, metallic purple with a lighted dial. And when the needle finds the perfect spot on this old Westinghouse, she can catch the radio man, his honey smoky voice just drifting her way, up from Syracuse or down from Montreal, Chicago, if the weather's right, or Detroit. And he plays blues and city music just for her through this old RCA, his smoky voice regaling her with tales about the songs, the singers, their lives, oh, their magic lives, so far away from hers. But the signal drifts in and out on this old zenith, while downstairs in the den, beneath the antlered head of a deer and a stuffed pheasant, the old man would fingerpick his Gibson, falsetto Hank's Your Cheatin' Heart, and I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. And on the record player, beside the yellow cabbage roses that paper the parlor, the old lady would listen to Carmen, loud, a Gladys somebody doing the habanera. And all that sound drifts up the stairs, so she keeps tuning up the volume, and the signal keeps drifting off and on. She keeps tuning and turning that Panasonic pointer just a hair to the left, a hair to the right. She's just following that honey voice around the dial. Oh, just following him all around that dial. I'm going to finish up with something I don't normally do in a reading, which is to read works in progress. But this is kind of an interesting example of process. The original piece from sometime this summer has always felt like the hub of several others to come. So this is the original little bit. Runways. Consider all the runways at all the towns one touches down beside, never in, on the way from here to there. One touches briefly, towns unseen, except through a haze darkly, across a wind-socked tarmac strip, or bright concrete with yellow arrows and traffic control, glass bubble far above. Consider all the lives being lived just out of sight, the lives. So this is where it took me on Sunday, all day Sunday, amazing me with its long journey, hopefully not too long for my dear listeners. It's spinning off the final few lines of the first piece and going into a meditation on the journey which has led the speaker to a very fine place. The you in the poem is the speaker kind of addressing herself as if she's another person, amazed at where she finds herself. It does still need work. The rhythm feels a little ragged to me in some places, but I thought it was, hey, I never read new poems. I'm going to do it. Oh. Flight plan. Perhaps this was your life. Last year at Rio, Carnival. Today, Musée d'Orsay. Petra next spring. My dear, you truly must. Jetways and boarding passes, rollerboards, the stamping of visas, the dozing on plastic benches in airports whose names you never remember, waiting for 6 a.m. connecting flights to Dubai. You know those in-betweens, all the towns next to which your aircraft touches down, beside but never in, touches briefly so you may change a plane or two. Cities seen as through a glass, hazily, darkly, as if through smogs, as if across a wind-socked tarmac or a field of concrete bright with yellow arrows, with towers, bubble glass atop controlling traffic, high above your baggage snug in its cart, high above the cows that graze beyond perimeter fences, towns beyond, just out of sight, all the lives lived out of sight, nothing to interest you. That may have been your life. Then this could happen. Your lovely, mighty plane is forced to ground by thunder cells, and there you are, stilled at one of the in-betweens. The hours pass. You've missed your next connection. It's announced you won't be cleared for takeoff till tomorrow. There's a bus to take you into town. Motel is cheap, or you can sleep in the lounge. So it could happen that you've signed your name, are walking with your bag to 7B, disheveled, needing a drink. You notice something. A song? A certain smell? No, a song. A melody you've never heard before. You start to walk, listening. Forget about the foreign city with its temples you were on your way to see. You follow that tune for hours. You walk up streets. You listen, past the docks and the sellers of vegetables, still carrying your bag, up a street and down an alley, following that tune, and there's an open window, notes afloat, a stairway beside it. To your surprise, you start walking up those stairs. You don't look back. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diane. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite anyone who would like to unmute
Hey.
for some live applause.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't look back.
If you have comments or some gratitudes for Diane, now's the time. It'd be lovely to hear them.
Yeah, you know, Diane, the one about the girl, and it's her afternoon. How you put that? It's my Sunday. No, it's my day. It's my afternoon.
Sunday at
Yeah,
the
that's
board.
so
Oh,
good.
the afternoon is mine. Yeah.
The afternoon is mine. Yeah, that's so good, and also just pretty much everything I heard tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I need to unmute to say how much I enjoyed it, Diane, because I seem to have lost camera again after just getting it back on my main computer. So you get my voice tonight, but not my face.
I was trying to locate the voice. Hi, Phil.
Hello. It was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love your voice and your musicality. And I really enjoyed your process poem. That was really cool to see.
Good. I'm glad.
Thank you for
It's
sharing
always a
that.
risk to do something like that, you know, particularly since everything else that I've ever presented has been like rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. So just to take that risk and say, okay, here's something that even I feel is not quite perfect.
I love the
thank
second
you.
person. I love the use of the second person. I just always liked the second person very much.
Yeah.
I've
Thank you,
heard
Diane.
Thank you. Thank you for being so generous and trusting us with your new work. That's wonderful of you, and I loved it. I was riveted the whole way through. Loved that journey.
I put it in the chat, but I think it deserves to be said aloud that your poems and your delivery are just so very tender. It just touches my heart. And I especially love the love poem about the pottery and the bagels. I've heard it before, and every time I hear it, I find something new in it.
Oh,
Lovely.
thank you. Thank you for saying so.
I'd like to comment on the beautiful storytelling quality of your work. It's very narrative, and it leads me, and it winds me, and it takes me, and it gives me something at the end. And I thank you for that.
Oh, good. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
It gives me so much carrying for a very long time. Your imagery, the love poems, the nature. A very rich meal, Diane, and absolutely, so glad I came for this.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, I work and work inside my own poems, as you know, all of us do. And it's only at opportunities like this that I can actually find out what it is I've been doing, that how it is in the larger world, you know, and not just listening to myself, the echoes bouncing off the walls, just, okay, this is how it's being heard. And it's such a gift to have this kind of feedback. Thank you so much.
Oh, this is the gift.
We are gifts to each other, you know.
Absolutely.
I just loved your presentation, the whole work. I can go on about the bees walking and all that stuff. I was simply too stunned to write any details, chat, whatever, because I didn't want to lose one single moment of anything.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can't follow the chat anyway while I'm reading, so I put my Word doc over the chat so I'm not tempted to look at it. But I'm seeing one thing now. Someone asked if these poems are in a book, and they are not yet, but they're in the manuscript that I spoke of earlier, that I'm going to be starting to send around this fall. So they are a book to be. So.
Well, Diane, thank you.
Hopefully.
Diane, can you hear me?
I can, Dan. Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. Your delivery and the poems are so warm and they're so observant. And thank you. And I just want to concur with everything everybody has said to this point and beyond.
Thank you so much. Wow.
All right.
You call some of your poems love poems, but the truth is all of your poems are love poems. We all love hearing them again and again.
I would agree with that. All right. Well, thank you again so much, Diane. It was a beautiful, beautiful reading. And we'll stop recording in a moment. For those of you in the Zoom room, please stay online if you'd like to take part in open mic. Thanks to all our YouTube listeners. Please tune in for our next regular Coastside Poetry event on Tuesday, November 8th, when we'll welcome poet Jennifer Nuesi. Thanks so much for joining us at Coastside Poetry and for keeping the land